In this lesson, we'll be learning about the keyword this. The keyword this refers to this instance of the class. And what I mean by that is first we're going to create a class, and I'll call it this keyword lesson. And then we'll put in the classes folder. I'll remove the with sharing. We'll go over that later. I'll keep the constructor, and then we'll have a couple more lines. And then what I'll do is I'll create a variable. We'll just have it be a private string, and we'll call it private class string. And then I'll just name it this string. Okay, and then what we can do is first we'll have within the constructor, we'll have this constructor input a string, and then it'll be private class string. And then I can do private class string is equal to private class string. Then what I also want to do is I want to add a couple more methods, and we'll do a debug for the string and a debug for the this to show the this. So I'll do a public and then void, we'll call it debug string. And then it'll be system.debug, and then we'll do the private I'm just going to copy this. And then we'll have another one for public void debug this. And we'll debug this. And then I can save it. And as you can see here, just to show a little bit of an indicator, when I have the this and then I do a dot notation, it's bringing up the methods and the variables that are within the class. So this is referring to this class. So anything that's in that class, and then as we create different instances, this would still refer to this within the context of this single class that's been instantiated. So then I can deploy into the org, so that way we can run some tests, and I will remove all of this. And then what we first need to do is nothing has been static. We will need to first instantiate. So I'll just call it KL, and then new, this keyword lesson. And then if you remember, the constructor requires a string. And so what I will do is we can just add directly a string. We'll call it instantiated string. And then next what I'll do is we can call the debug methods, both of them. We'll do the string first, and then we'll debug this. So I'm going to grab all of them and run them. And when I debug, we can see that for the debug of the string, it's coming out as this string. And then when we debug this, we can see right here that we debug this. And when we look into the debug, we can see this keyword lesson, which is referring to the class. And then we can see the string, this string, and then the variable string. And we can see that it's a key value pair for the variable and then the string itself. So then the next thing that we can do is we can see right here that for the variable private class string, We did, when we instantiated it, we had a string in there as well. And so this should have changed it. However, the reason why it didn't change is because this string, the name of this string variable that's coming in from when we instantiate the class, it's the same name as this string. So there's a little bit of a confusion that happens when we do that. So if we debug a private class string, and then we debug this dot private class string, and then deploy that, and then run, we can see that the first debug, which was just the private class string that was brought in, is the instantiated string. And then when we see the this private class string, it's referring to this string. So in order to make sure that whatever is coming values this variable for private class string, we need to add this dot private class string to it. Otherwise, we could also, if we were to let's say change this to a 1 like this, and there's no conflict like that, then we would be able to as well. But for this purpose, I'm just going to take that and deploy. And then run it. And we can see that it did change the string this time. So then the other thing that we can see as well is, let's say that we have a public static string, check this string, we're just going to call it this, and then let's say I want an account, we'll do any account, we'll do select the ID and the name from account, and limit 1, and then we can deploy. And then when we, what I want to show is when we debug this, and what we can see within when we see the debug of this, we can see for this keyword lesson, we have the account object, we have the check this, and then we have the private class. So when we're referring to this, this is referring to this whole class. We can also call the debug and string within this class by doing this dot and then debug this. And then when we, let's say that we have the string variable be a little bit different, I'll just take this out and then deploy again. When we run, it still changes the string. So really when you have to use it is when the variables that are coming in are the same. Otherwise, in some languages, I believe you have to use this a lot more. However, within Apex, you don't have to.